For those of you who don't know, I wrote a book not long ago, How Long Will You Starve? And in my book, I actually talk about my love for the parables in the Bible. I talk about just my personal journey, but how my relationship and my journey with Jesus really began all through the parables. So we are here to begin the mini series that I said I was going to do. I was on a fast, a personal fast, not a corporate one, and I was on a fast for 6 days. And during those 6 days of fasting, he led me to the book of John, chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. And each day, he told me to read the same 12 verses. And I was a little taken aback when he was leading me to do that, but he reminded me that his word is alive and active. And each day that I read those 12 verses, I got new revelation, and I love it. So I just wanted to come on and share what he shared with me, and I hope to encourage you. So let's check out episode 3. Enjoy. So on day 3 of reading John chapter 2, verses 1 through 12, the verse that was highlighted to me on this day was verse 4. So I'm going to read that to you and then we'll get into it. Verse 4 says, Jesus said to her, "Woman, what does your concern have to do with me? My hour has not yet come." So this in chapter 2, this is where Jesus does his first miracle, changing the water to wine. And in verse 4, Jesus is responding to his mother, Mary. She comes to him and says, they ran out of wine. We need wine. Do something. And the part that, the word, I should say, that stood out to me in verse 4 was hour. He said, my hour has not yet come. And what did he mean by that? Well, up until this point, he hadn't done any public miracles. And, he's about his father's business. So Mary, as his mother, she has an idea of what her son, Jesus, is capable of, even though outsiders may not know. That's her son. She knows him intimately. So she was able to discern, now's the time, you can do this, and now's the time. But his initial response was, Mama, love you, but unless I hear it from the Father, it's a no for me. So what I started getting from that was, what activates your hour? What made his hour come? Because he said, my hour has not yet come. Well, I got 3 key elements that may activate your hour, though it has not yet come. And that's faith, obedience, and service. Now, where did I get those 3 things from? These 3 key elements were present and presented to Jesus, and I believe they ultimately activated the miracle. The faith came from Mary, his mother. She had the faith to believe and come to Jesus that, they ran out of wine, and this is a big deal back then. Like, you do not want to run out of wine at a wedding. She had the faith to come to him and say, they're out of wine. Do something, basically. So there was the faith that was present. The obedience came from when, after that, Jesus started giving instructions to the servants. Because Mary, when Jesus responds to her and says, my hour has not yet come, she doesn't even respond to Jesus. She looks to the servants and says, listen, whatever he says, do it. So there was her faith, and the servants did exactly what Jesus told them to. And one of the first things he told the servants to do was to fill the stone water pots with water. So there was the obedience. And obedience, usually when God tells us to do something, it doesn't always make a lot of sense. It seems like it's not related to what we're asking for. We need wine, but you're telling us to fill up these water pots with water. Why? And if you watched episode 1, I kind of talk a little bit about that and the significance of the 6 stone water pots. So yeah, there's the obedience. We got the faith with Mary coming to him and telling him they need wine, believing that he could solve that problem. We have the obedience of the servants doing exactly what Jesus tells them to do. And then the service comes in when Jesus tells them to go serve the water to the master of the feast. I can imagine, them being a little, not afraid, but just feeling, or maybe even embarrassed, because when they took, if you read carefully, it sounds like when they're taking the water, when they draw some out of the pot, it's still water. When Jesus tells them to draw it out, it's still water. So I can just imagine what was going through their head as they're serving this water that changed to wine. But that's where the service comes in. So faith, obedience, and service. When those three elements are in place, I believe that heaven and earth can come into agreement. Jesus teaches us also in the Bible how to pray. And he says, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Part of that prayer is thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, as it's already done in heaven. It's already done there. We need to bring it here. And I believe that this is the key to do just that. Faith, obedience, and service allows heaven to come into agreement on in earth, and his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So yeah, if you are kind of just waiting for that green light to maybe live in your purpose, whatever that may be, start pursuing a dream that you may have, whatever it is. If you are waiting for God to tell you that your hour has come, ask him to help you discern the time, and to help you with your faith. You can actually ask him to help you in your faith. Ask him, God, help me with my unbelief. It's okay, he can handle it. And yeah, focus on those three elements: faith, obedience, and service. Have the faith, and then when you actually feel like you're starting to get some direction from God, even if it doesn't make much sense, do it anyway. Obedience is key. He honors obedience. And service. Serve. Ask God to help you understand what that means for you. And I believe that once those three key elements are in place, you just may activate your hour. I hope this encourages someone. Pray for me. I will continue to pray for you, and I will see you in episode 4. Bye.